to enjoy some music, to learn a little bit about APM and why it is so important to support the work that they do in the Philadelphia community, and to welcome one of my favorite musicians and close friends, Bryan Hoyos. So a little bit more about Bryan, the artist you're going to be hearing today. As an alumnus of Westminster Choir College, which is how I know him and other people here know him, Bryan is pursuing a career as a soloist while simultaneously enjoying his passion for choral singing. Most recently, he was featured as a soloist in the Philadelphia Orchestra's performance of Gabriela Lena Frank's work, Pachamama Meets an Ode, in June of 2022. As a chorister, Bryan has performed across the country and around the world with various ensembles, including the National Chorale, the Philadelphia Symphonic Choir, the Princeton Singers, and the California Society in Philadelphia. During the COVID shutdown, Bryan signed with the Reinhardt Agency in Philadelphia and began a career as a voiceover artist and actor. Since then, Bryan's face and voice have been featured on television, radio, and internet ads around the country and soon to be around the world internationally. Please give a warm welcome to Bryan Hoyos.
Ha sido de mis cabellos first set you just heard was from a Spanish composer named Francisco Obrador, set to poetry of many different poets from the 15th, 16th, and 17th centuries. We're going to switch vibes a little bit to some tenor favorites. This following song is pretty much the only song that doesn't have really anything to do with the Hispanic culture yet. I felt it was necessary to include it in this program because of the state of the world that we're in. Too many of our sons, daughters, brothers, and sisters are going off into many different forms of battle in this world, whether it's war overseas, whether it's gang warfare in cities, whether it's medical conditions. Every one of us has a battle that we have endured. And for those of us who have lost loved ones along the way, that could present a certain challenge to us when we know that they're in harm's way. So in a sense, this is sort of an homage to those who we want to bring back home and let them live in peace, harmony, and rest. we find love in the most unexpected of places. The most beautiful sound that I've ever heard. Maria, 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 Maria. All the beautiful sounds of the world in a single word. Maria, 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 Maria. I just met a girl named Maria, and suddenly that name will never be the same to me. Maria, I just kissed a girl named Maria, and suddenly I found how wonderful a song can be. Maria, say it loud and there's music playing. Say it soft and it's almost like praying. Maria, I'll never stop saying Maria.
Mr. Delgado.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I tell you, when I go to heaven and I sing in God's choir, I hope I'm a tenor. It's amazing. I don't have a singing voice. I'm always jealous of it. So thank you for having me here. I was here last year and just wanted to share a little bit more about APM. For those of you who don't know APM, well, first of all, I'm Manny Delgado, Chief Operating Officer at APM. I've been here for 3 years. It's my second tour with APM. I was there about 15 years ago before I left and just came back pre-COVID. APM's been around for 52 years. Started in the 70s by Vietnam vets who saw that there was a lack of services for Vietnam vets coming back with PTSD. So there was no competency in the mental health field at that point to deal with the linguistic challenges there. So the first grant that APM had when it was formed in 1970 was to serve military vets coming back from Vietnam with PTSD. Since then, we've grown into 350 employees, $65 million. We have a whole list of programs that I can share with you, from community and economic development, where we have developed over 500 units of housing, the first in the market in our low-income community. We've developed schools, and we continue to develop even to this day. We have early learning childhood centers, which serve approximately 700 kids in our community, 3 to 4-year-olds, pre-kindergarten, and we're getting them ready for kindergarten, thankfully, safely. We have mental health services, which is what we started with. We serve over 5,000 people annually, age 11 through seniors, at 3 different centers, growing into our 4th, creating an autism center hopefully in the next 2 years, and hopefully tying the mental health with some of the other programs we have. We also do child services, meaning DHS has contracted us to take care of kids in 2 police districts, 24th and 26th, arguably the toughest districts in the city, and we take those children that need to be temporarily removed from their home, work with the parents towards permanency again, getting them back in, and when they can't go back, we find adoptive parents for those children. Happy to say that 4 years ago we had up to 700 families in our system, and just as of last week we have about 300 families in our system. So we're rapidly moving them out, either getting them back with their families after support or putting them in permanent adoptive care. One of the things that we're also starting just this year, we received a $1.5 million grant from the governor, is one that you sort of touched on, Bryan, is the violence in the city. In our neighborhoods, it's probably the most violent neighborhoods in the city. Unfortunately, most of that violence is perpetrated and most of the victims are under the age of 18. So we're working hard with families in our community, trying to mix together the whole list of services we have, and also work with victims to help stop the continued violence and retaliatory violence there, with mental health counseling, with prolonged counseling for those families and for the victims, as well as trying to figure out what other needs they may have that might move them out of poverty and out of the line of fire in the future. So I always thought it was a little bit odd that we were invited here all the way out to Wallingford. We have no direct connection with the suburbs. We're in the city, we're in eastern North Philadelphia, just of Temple, sort of up to Kensington and Allegheny, and moving up towards the Erie area. So on the ride up, I was thinking, what is God's purpose for having me here at all? Right? So I thought of 5 things. One is to just solicit prayer. Right? There are so many needs that we have, and they should be lifted up in prayer. I'm not bashful to ask for you to do that. Right? So from the children in our care, to the staff that care for them, and the issues that they deal with just in caring for them. For our efforts in the anti-violence world, this is new to us. This is our first year there, so we know we need prayer there. Even our efforts in education as we move. We have some of the lowest outcomes in the city and in the state, or in Philadelphia, and particularly with Latino kids in the schools. So we can definitely use your prayer, and I'm happy to email monthly, weekly to the prayer warriors here or to Bible study groups that are here and send you a list. Thinking also of jobs. So we have a lot of open positions, just like many companies. We have positions in social work, we have positions in the mental health field, we have positions in education that since COVID we just have not been able to fill. So if you know of someone and hearing of APM sort of interests you and it might interest them, please share with them our website so maybe they could come work for us and join the work that we do in the city. Maybe it is adoption. Maybe you have it in your heart to adopt a child and pull a child out of the city, maybe into Wallingford or into your home. We need adoptive families. We have always had that need, but it's greater now. The children that wait for adoption, we have a long list, and certainly could use a good home. I always say I grew up in Philadelphia, but because of the schools and some of the other issues, we left and moved into the suburbs, just so my kids could have the best education possible. So I think it would be great if we had adoptive parents that pull some of the kids out of Philadelphia into a solid school district so they can also grow in a solid school district and with a great family. Obviously here to ask that you give as well. By far, we have the greatest need in our education piece and in the anti-violence piece as that starts up. So any of the giving will go to those programs, and we'll be happy to talk more about that if you want to maybe give a little more annually. We can actually have conversations about that as well. And then 5th, if none of those interest you, perhaps I'm just here to give a little break to Bryan, so you can rest and get a little bit of a drink. Thank you for having me here. I'll stick around until the end if you want to have a conversation, but thanks again for having us.
for coming out here and sharing about APM, and I hope you all feel inspired to give generously and stay involved in the work that they're doing. Consider the wonderful list that Bryan provided. And now, for something completely different, let's start our second half. Please welcome back Bryan Hoyos.
So that last song was just a fun little ditty by a Puerto Rican composer named La Hija del Viejo Pancho. This next one, Algún Día, has a bit of a personal connection for me unexpectedly. So I found the song and I thought it was a lovely song, and I sent it over to Lee and she thought it was a lovely song. And there was one sentence in the poem that I had some trouble translating. So I called an uncle of mine who is a big lover of music, big lover of poetry, and when I told him what the poet's name was, he said, "Oh, I met her when I was in school, and she used to come to my school to direct plays and comedies and help with the choir and everything like that." So a little bit of a personal connection here with Algún Día, someday.
Un día llegará
So we got one more for you guys. We couldn't leave on the sad note. So, there is a land in Spain that is legendary for its beauty, its nature, its landscapes, and a composer from Mexico, whose name is Agustin Lara, he heard all of these tales of beauty, of such beautiful, picturesque scenes that he can't even imagine. But one day he did imagine, and that was the only thing he could do because he was too poor to ever sail across the Atlantic to see this beautiful land. So he wrote a song about it that ended up becoming one of the most popular songs in the Latin American canon. He wrote a song about this beautiful land called Granada.
Otra cosa que darte